So starting with the front, it's just up here right where the rod tip protectors are. I've put in a basic pad eye with wheel wells, and then I use 3/16 bungee to larkin. And these are the stainless steel rollers, and then I'm using 550 paracord, which gives pickup. You can see I got the reflective black. And as we go down it, you have a pad eye that is angled at 45 facing to the front, and then as you progress down, and that's at the 1/3 point of the kayak, and then another pad eye at another 1/3. So what you're doing is splitting the distance from the dead center and going about half of the way to the back, and the pad eye is angled towards the direction of the back this way, and then of course it's the opposite. It's angled going to the front on the front end, and in the rear it's the same thing. It's a larkin with about 6 inches or less of the actual bungee. So this is a little bit thicker bungee. You can actually go with smaller bungee and go to the 3/16, which is the size of the paracord. I just have this left over from doing these installs. So what happens is that this ring, which is what the anchor passes through on the trolley, is actually got what they call the beehive knot, and then this end is knotted, and then it's actually melted so that the paracord is locked tight permanently. This is an adjustment, so you can actually slide this up and down to tighten this as the paracord loosens. So you can see that this is snug against the boat and stays that way, so it's not flapping. This is actually 2 designs from about 5 to 8 years ago that occurred. The one with the modifications with the actual pad eyes was done by Yak Gear in San Diego. Their president actually rigged all of the kayaks just this way. And then this beehive and traveling of this is a modification of Chad, who's the president now and the founder of kayak bass fishing. Chad used to do this for Hook One, which is a large outfitter kayak distributor in Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia area. And he was a guide for him before kicking off his kayak bass fishing channel and eventually starting kayak bass fishing. So the reason for doing it this way is Chad used to take these 2 lines and have them travel together without the pad eyes up and down. And what that did is it keeps it snug and tight against the boat. I've done this modification because what can happen is if your anchor, if you're in a bad current, can get down under you and actually start to flip the boat. So this way, this line is locked by the pad eyes, and so that you can then position it and reposition the boat and stop from having to ditch the line, cut the line, or whatever it is. I just free flow it through because when I want to be able to release the line if I get caught in current. And the same thing can happen if you get a large boat that goes by you and totally kicks out a wake that possibly is going to get you. You should already have adjusted the anchor trolley so as to position the boat to take the wave. But if for some reason you get into trouble, you want to be able to release all this to ride it out. So I have other things that I've incorporated in, and I can always share those. So what I suggest is it's do it yourself. You put it together. You get the paracord from Home Depot, Lowe's, or just order it from Amazon. The pad eyes, you only need 4 pad eyes. And the Larkin, you want the stainless steel, not the plastic, the durability. The reason for the bungees and the reason Chad did that was originally he was installing them on Wilderness and Perception kayaks, and they were actually attaching to some of the eyelets that were on the back of the boat. And so it was a no drill proposition initially, and he dropped them down. You want to be below the water line because you don't want the lines to get tangled up with you if you're coming out of the boat but also with your gear. If you'll notice that Vibe does it the opposite. They put all of their lines up here, and I think that's just from experience that they haven't gotten jammed up in one of these yet. I have, and so that's why I appreciate what they developed back 8 years ago. So you got these hardcore kayakers that are fishermen, rednecks like me from Georgia and Florida, that solved these problems, and it makes a lot of sense. So anyway, that's why I did it. Plus, it cost me, the Larkins are the most expensive, the actual pulleys, because they're stainless steel. It only cost me about 15 bucks to do this, and we've done this on 9 kayaks. So we've had mostly Perception and Wilderness products. So with the Pescador, we've had the 10-footer, we've had the 12-footer, and we've been below the water line. And the key to it is using well nuts. With the well nuts, the people who complain or piss and moan about the well nuts, the reason for the problem is that they use goop or marine or silicone with the well nuts, and you can't do that. That defeats their purpose. It causes them to free spin. So you drill the hole, you insert the well nut, and then it draws down on itself with the rubber seal, if you're not familiar with it, but you may be, and it will lock tight, solid, and it's not going to leak whatsoever. So you can be below, and this has been going on for 10 plus years, since what, 2006, 2007, that people have been using anchors. So I'm not sure why Vibe is up here, unless you just got a bunch of new people to kayaking that didn't understand it, and they started a trend. And then you have people jump on that, oh yeah, well, below the waterline leaks. Yeah, if you do it wrong, anything leaks. But every boat has ski ladders on it. Every boat has, you know, fish finders mounted to the hull. There's ways to do things if you do it right, and I think that's what they miss. They don't think it through. Critical thinking skills. Anyway, that's how mine's been done all these years. I've been out, and by the way, the post I gave you earlier on the Bixby, it is friggin' awesome. They actually have a pedal mount for the Hobie that will work with ours, and so I'm moving mine off of the rudder as soon as I get verification from Bixby that that pedal pod is going to work and I get a pedal drive. I'm going to put the motor up here on it and drop it down instead of it hanging off the rudder. That way it's not visible, it's not getting banged all the time, but the Bixby's the way to go. That was awesome. Anyway.